Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Can you see me and hear me clearly?
It's Curry.
Wonderful. And my name's Johanna. How about you? What's your name?
Nice to meet you too.
So, are you ready to start the lesson?
Okay,
All right, just to confirm, you finished new work until paragraph 336. Is that correct?
it's correct.
So, now let's start with the daily revision. What's another opposite of the verb lose besides find? What's another opposite of the verb lose besides find? Another opposite
Another
of the
opposite
verb
of
lose
the above two roots
besides find is win.
besides find is mean.
What are the three forms of win? What are the three forms of win? The three
The
forms
three
of
forms
win
of
are
win are
win, won,
win,
won.
won, won.
Does your country usually win at football? Does your country usually win at football? Yes, no?
No,
My
my
country
country
doesn't usually win
doesn't
at
usually
football.
win football.
It usually loses.
It usually loses.
Do you do the lottery? Do you do the lottery? Yes, no?
No,
I don't
I
do
don't
the lottery.
do the lottery.
If you won £1 million, what would you do with it? If you won £1 million, what would you do with it? If I
If
won
I
a
were
million
around
pounds,
£1 million,
I would.
I would buy a house.
All right. Is this pen useless? Is this pen useless? No,
No,
that pen
that pen
isn't
isn't
useless.
useless.
It's useful.
It's useful.
What do we do with useless things? What do we do with useless things? We throw
We
useless
throw
things
useless
away.
things away.
What are the two most useful things you possess? What are the two most useful things you possess? The two
The
most useful
two most
things I
useful things
possess are.
I possess are keyboard and mouse.
Do you think that what you're learning now will be useful to you later on in life? Do you think that what you're learning now will be useful to you later on in life? Yes, I
Yes,
think
I
that
think
what I'm
that the
learning
work
now
I'm learning now
will be useful to
will
me
be useful
later
to
on in
me
life.
later on in life
Why? Why? Because it will help
because
me
it will
get
help
work
me get
and
work
speak to
and
people
speak
from
to
other
people from
countries.
other countries.
What's the contraction of I would? What's the contraction of I would? The
The
contraction of
contractions
I
of
would
I
is
would
I'd.
is I'd.
What are the contractions of you would, he would, she would, etc.? What are the contractions of you would, he would, she would, etc.? The contractions
Contractions
of you
of
would,
you
he
would,
would,
he
she
would,
would,
she would,
etc.
etc.
are you'd,
Are you'd,
he'd,
he'd,
she'd,
she'd,
he it'd, we'd,
he'd, read,
you'd, they'd.
you'd, they'd.
If you went to the cinema this evening, which film would you see? If you went to the cinema this evening, which film would you see? If I went
If
to the
I
cinema
went to the
this evening,
cinema this evening,
I'd see.
I'd see ABC film.
If I were you, which language would I speak? If I were you, which language would I speak? If you were
If
me,
you or
you'd
me,
speak.
you'd speak Japanese.
If a plant had no water, would it die? If a plant had no water, would it die? Yes. If
Yes,
a plant
if
had no
your
water,
parent had no water,
it'd die.
it would die.
What's a construction of bookwood? What's a construction of bookwood? The
The
construction of
contractions
bookwood
of be
is
booked
booked.
is booked.
Lesson would, who would, what would, which would. Lesson would, who would, what would, which would. Lessoned,
Listened,
who'd,
who'd,
whatted, which'd.
butted, widget.
If you were a king, what did your wife be called? If you were a king, what did your wife be called? If I were a king,
If I were king,
my wife'd
my
be
wife
called a
would
queen.
be called a queen.
If you lost your way in a large city, who'd you ask? If you lost your way in a large city, who'd you ask? If I lost my
If I
way
lost
in a
my
large
way in
city,
a city,
I'd ask a policeman.
I'd ask a policeman.
If today were Sunday, what would tomorrow be? If today were Sunday, what would tomorrow be? If today
If
were
today
Sunday,
were Sunday,
tomorrow'd be Monday.
tomorrow would be Monday.
When office workers are too busy to leave their desk for lunch, do they often just have a quick sandwich? When office workers are too busy to leave their desk for lunch, do they often just have a quick sandwich? Yes, when
Yes,
office workers
when office
are too
workers
busy
are
to
too
leave their
busy
desk
to
for
leave
lunch,
their desk for lunch,
they often just have
they
a
often
quick
just have
sandwich.
a quick sandwich.
Very good. What kind of things do we put in sandwiches? What kind of things do we put in sandwiches? We put meat,
We put meat,
cheese, egg,
cheese,
etc. in
etc.
sandwiches?
in sandwiches.
What's your biggest fault? What's your biggest fault? My biggest fault
My,
is,
my biggest fault is please give please give me an example.
okay, so my biggest fault would be not learning English at a very young age, maybe.
Ah, and
Not learning
uh,
English
not learning English
at a very young
at
age.
a very young age.
If your computer was faulty, would you know how to fix the fault? If your computer was faulty, would you know how to fix the fault? Yes, no?
No,
If my
if
computer
my
was
computer
faulty,
was faulty,
I wouldn't know
I
how to
don't
fix the
know how
fault.
to fix the fault.
Are your dictations usually faultless? Are your dictations usually faultless? No, my
No, my
dictations aren't
dictations
usually
aren't
faultless.
usually faultless.
They usually
They
contain
usually
mistakes.
contain mistakes.
If a student makes a mistake in his dictation, is it usually his fault or the teacher's fault? If a student makes a mistake in his dictation, is it usually his fault or the teacher's fault? If a student
If your
makes a
student
mistake
makes
in
a
his
mistake
dictation,
in his dictations,
it's usually his fault. It's usually his fault.
it usually his fault.
But it could sometimes
But
be the teacher's
but
fault.
sometimes me,
It could sometimes be,
it could be sometimes me.
it could sometimes be
It could sometimes be
the teacher's fault.
the teacher's fault.
Okay, one more time, please. If a student makes
If
a
your
mistake
student,
in his dictation,
uh, if if the student
a mistake in his
makes a
dictation,
mistake in his dictation,
it's usually his
it's
fault.
usually his fault.
But it could
But
sometimes be,
but it could but it
sometimes be,
sometimes could some but
it could sometimes be
but it could sometimes be
the teacher's fault.
the teacher's fault.
All right. What can we say instead of okay? What can we say instead of okay? Instead of okay,
Instead of
we
okay,
can say all
we
right.
can say all right.
Can we compare Michelangelo with Napoleon? Can we compare Michelangelo with Napoleon? No,
No,
we can't
we
compare
can't compare
Michelangelo
Michelangelo
with Napoleon.
with Napoleon
Why not? Why not? Because they were
because
two completely different.
sorry.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes,
Or is
yes,
now
now
okay?
it's
So
better.
let's try to reconnect. So just a moment, please. Okay, hello. Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes,
Okay, wonderful. So let's continue. Why not? Why not? Because they
because
were two
they were two
completely different
completely different different
kinds of people
kinds of people
who did different
who did
things
different
from
things
each other.
from each other.
Why must two people or things have if we want to make a comparison between them? What must two people or things have if we want to make a comparison between them? If we want
If we
to make
want
a
to make a
comparison
comparison
between two people
between
or
two people
things,
or things,
we they must have something in
they
common.
must have something
In
in common.
common. What do we use ice for? What do we use ice for? We use
We
ice
use
for
ice
putting in
for
drinks,
putting
to
in
cool them,
drinks to
etc.
cool them, etc.
Next, what am I doing? What am I doing? You're
You are
pouring some
pouring
water
some
from a
water
bottle
from a
into a
bottle
glass.
into a glass.
Very good. Do you think that all the countries of the world will unite one day? Do you think that all the countries of the world will unite one day? Yes, no?
No,
I don't
I
think
don't think
that all the
that
countries
all the
of the
countries
world
of the world
will unite one
will
day.
unite one day.
Give me a sentence with even in it. Give me a sentence with even in it. She speaks
She
Russian,
speaks
German,
Russian,
French,
German,
and even
French,
Chinese.
and even Chinese.
He was very impolite. He was
He,
very
wa-
impolite.
he was very impolite.
He didn't even say
He
hello.
didn't even say hello.
It's very simple.
It's very simple.
Even a child could
Even child
understand it.
could understand it.
Very good. Do we generally mix sugar with potatoes? Do we generally mix sugar with potatoes? No, we don't
No, we
generally
don't
mix
generally mix
sugar with potatoes.
sugar with potatoes.
Do you think a mixture of tea and coffee would make a pleasant drink? Do you think a mixture of tea and coffee would make a pleasant drink? No, I
No,
don't think
I don't
a
think
mixture of
a
tea
mixture
and
of
coffee
tea and coffee
would make a
would
pleasant drink.
make a pleasant
It
drink.
would make an
It would make
unpleasant drink.
an unpleasant drink.
If you mix some red and white paint together, what would you get? If you mix some red and white paint together, what would you get? If I mixed
If I
some
mix
red and
some
white
red
paint
and
together,
white paint together,
I'd get pink paint.
I get pink paint.
Who cared for you when you were a child? Who cared for you when you were a child? My mother
My
cared for
mother
me
cared for me
when I was a child.
when I was a child.
Do you think the young should take care of the old? Do you think the young should take care of the old? Yes, I
Yes,
think the
I
young
think the
should
young
take care of the
should
old.
take care old.
Should take care of the old.
To care the old.
Should take care of the old.
Should take care the old.
Of the old.
Should care
Should
should
take
care
care.
take should take care the old
There's of.
of the old.
Okay, there one more time. Yes, I think
Yes,
the
I
young
think the young
should take care of the old.
should take care of the old.
Very good. Do you take good care of your health? Do you take good care of your health? Yes, no?
Yes,
I take
I
good
take
care
good
of my
care of
health.
my health.
Do you care what people think or say about you? Do you care what people think or say about you? Yes, no?
No,
I don't care
I don't
what people
care
think
what
or
people
say about
think
me.
or
Say about me.
say about me.
If you were late for a very important appointment, would you take your time? If you were late for a very important appointment, would you take your time? No. If I
No,
were
if
late
I worried
for a very important
for a
appointment,
very important
I
for a very
important
important
appointment,
appointment,
I wouldn't take my
I
time.
wouldn't take my time.
I'd hurry.
I'd hurry
Why? Because it's
because
important
it's
to keep
important
appointments
to keep
that we made.
appointment, not we made.
Why is it sometimes a bad thing to hurry? Why is it sometimes a bad thing to hurry? It's sometimes
It's
a
sometimes
bad thing
a
to
bad
hurry
thing to hurry
because we often
because
make
we
mistakes
often make mistakes
when we hurry.
when we hurry.
Would you take your time going home if somebody told you your house was on fire? Would you take your time going home if somebody told you your house was on fire? No, I
No,
wouldn't take
I
my
wouldn't
time
take my
going
time
home
going
if
home
somebody told
if
me
somebody
my
told
house was
me
on
my house
fire.
was on fire.
I'd hurry.
I'd hurry.
What's the translation of I am in a hurry? What's the translation of I am in a hurry? The
The
translation
translation
of I
of
am
I
in a
am
hurry
in a
is
hurry is 急いでる in Japanese.
all right. So now please repeat after me. Plenty of.
Plenty of.
The words plenty of mean more than enough. Now, let's practice. What do the words plenty of mean? What do the words plenty of mean? The words
The word
plenty of
plenty of
mean
means
more than enough.
more than enough.
Very good. Do people hurry when they have plenty of time? Do people hurry when they have plenty of time? No.
No,
People don't
people
hurry
don't
when
hurry
they have
when
plenty
they
of
have
time.
plenty of time.
They take their time.
They take the time.
What's the opposite of plenty of water? What's the opposite of plenty of water? The
The
opposite
opposite
of
of
plenty of
plenty
water
of water
is little
is
water
little
or
water
not enough
or
water.
not enough water.
Very good. Please repeat. For,
4.
since,
Sense.
period,
Period.
point.
Point.
All right, now please listen. We came into this room at, let's say, 6 o'clock. The time now is half past 6. Therefore, we have been in this room for half an hour. We have been in this room since 6 o'clock. We use the word for when you say a period of time. For example, for half an hour, for 2 weeks, for 6 months, for 10 years, etc. Then we use the word since when we say the point at which the period began. For example, since 6 o'clock, since last Monday, since January, since 2000, etc. Now, let's practice. What's the difference between for and since? What's the difference between for and since? The
The
difference
difference
between for
between
and
for
since
and since
is that we
is
use the
that
word
we
for
use the word for
when we say a
when
period
we
of
say a
time,
period of time,
whereas we use the
whereas
word
we
since
use the word since
when we say
when
the
we
point
say the
at
point
which the period
at
began.
which the period began.
Very good. Give me some examples of four. Give me some examples of four. For half an hour.
4 hours
For 2 weeks.
for 2 weeks.
Now give me some examples of since. Now give me some examples of since. Since 6 o'clock.
Since 6 o'clock.
Since last June.
Since last June.
How long have you been in that room for? How long have you been in that room for? I've been in
I've
this room
been in
for,
this room for about 2 years.
how about today? About 30 minutes or an hour?
Uh,
So I've been in this room.
um,
So today, before the lesson, how long have you been in that room?
uh, um, mm, I
Maybe.
I didn't go out.
Oh, we didn't go outside. Okay, so let's say I've been in this room
I've
for
been for
12 hours.
yeah, 12 hours. Okay.
Okay. Since when have you been in that room? Since when have you been in that room? I've been
I've
in this
been
room
in this
since
room since
7 a.m.
uh, 7
Yeah,
a.m.
okay, so next. How long have you lived in that town for? How long have you lived in that town for? I've lived
I've
in this
lived
town
in this
for.
town for 2 years.
Since when have you lived in that town? Since when have you lived in that town? I've lived in
I've
this
lived
town
in this
since.
town since 2 years ago.
All right. About how long have you known me for? About how long have you known me for? I've known you
I've known you
for about
for
20
about
minutes.
20 minutes.
Since when have you known me? Since when have you known me? I've known you
I've known you
since half
since
past 8.
8:30.
Okay. Have you been able to speak English for more than 10 years? Have you been able to speak English for more than 10 years? Yes, no?
No,
I
I
haven't been
haven't
able.
uh,
I
I
haven't
haven't
been able
been able
to speak
to
English
speak
for more
English
than 10
for
years.
more than 10 years.
Have you been able to speak English since you were a young child? Have you been able to speak English since you were a young child? Yes, no?
No,
I haven't
I
been
haven't
able
been
to speak
able to
English
speak English
since I was a young
since I
child.
was a young child.
Very good. Please repeat. Kitchen,
Kitchen,
fridge,
fridge,
freezer,
freezer,
cooker,
cooker,
sink,
sink,
microwave,
migrate,
microwave.
microwave.
Yes, now please listen. Fridge is a noun. In US English, they say fridge, but in British English, they usually use the word refrigerator. For example, we
Hmm.
put some food, milk, etc. in the fridge. Then freezer is a noun. It is a part of a fridge in which food can be stored for a long time. For example, meat lasts longer in a freezer. Then cooker is also a noun. It is used to cook food. For example, a rice cooker. Then sink is also a noun, like a kitchen sink. We wash our hands, face, etc. in a sink. Then we wash the vegetables in the sink. Then microwave is also a noun. It is an oven that uses waves of energy to heat or cook food quickly. For example, some people like using microwaves because they cook food very quickly. Then kitchen is a noun. It is the room where we prepare and cook food. It usually contains a fridge, a freezer, a cooker, a sink, etc. Now let's practice. What kind of things does a kitchen usually contain? What kind of things does a kitchen usually contain? A kitchen
A
usually
kitchen usually
contains
contains
a fridge, a
a fridge,
freezer, a
a
cooker,
freezer,
a
a
sink,
cooker, a
etc.
sink, etc.
Does meat last longer in a fridge or a freezer? Does meat last longer in a fridge or a freezer? Meat lasts
Meat
longer in a
lasts
freezer.
longer in a freezer.
Why do some people like using microwaves? Why do some people like using microwaves? Some people
Some
like using
people like
microwaves
using microwaves
because they cook
because
food
they
very
cook food
quickly.
very quickly.
Very good. Next, please repeat studies.
Studied.
Now, please listen. Study is a noun. It means subject. We usually use this in plural form. So we use studies. For example, English studies. I found my English pronunciation a little difficult at the beginning of my studies. Now, let's practice. Did you find English pronunciation a little difficult at the beginning of your studies? Did you find English pronunciation a little difficult at the beginning of your studies? Yes,
Yes,
I found
I
English
found the
pronunciation
English pronunciation
a little difficult
a
at
little
the beginning
difficult
of
at the
my
beginning of
studies.
my studies.
Do you hope your English studies will help your future career? Do you hope your English studies will help your future career? Yes,
Yes,
I hope my
I hope
English
my
studies
English
will
studies
help my
will
future
help my
career.
future career.
Very good. So this is paragraph 339. So now please get your book for the reading part. That is paragraph 307. Okay, sorry, 317.
17 buttonhole
So on next head word, career.
career. Okay, career. Would you like a career in the army? Oh, no, I wouldn't like a career in the army. Crossroads test. What's this? It's a cross. When a teacher puts a cross next to an answer in a written test, what does it mean? When a teacher puts a cross next to an answer in a written test, it means the answer is wrong. Are there any crossroads at the end of the street where you live? Yes, there are some crossroads at the end of the street where I live.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I have to stop you there because I noticed that you're reading and new work is almost near.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, so there should be a 22 paragraph difference.
Okay.
Okay, so let's continue with new work for now. Please repeat: lend, lent, lent.
Rent, rent, rent.
Return.
Return.
Now, please listen. Lend, lent, lent are the three forms of the verb lend. To lend is the opposite of to borrow. For example, I would lend you some money if you ask me. Then return is a verb that means to give back. For example, if I lent something to somebody and they didn't return it, I'd ask them to return it. Now, let's practice. Would you lend me some money if I ask you? Would you lend me some money if I ask you? Yes, no?
No.
I wouldn't lend
I
you
don't rent
any
you
money
any
if you
money
ask
if
me.
you ask me.
If you lent something to somebody and they didn't return it, what did you do? If you lent something to somebody and they didn't return it, what did you do? If I lent
If I
something to
rent
somebody
something to somebody
and they didn't return it,
and didn't return it,
I'd ask them to return
I'd
it.
ask them to return it.
Very good. Please repeat. First name,
First name,
surname.
surname,
Now, please listen. First name is a noun. It is also known as the given name. Then surname is the family name or the last name. So in Japan, you have different form of
yeah,
names, right? So, for example, Anna Brown. Anna is the first name and Brown is the surname. Now, let's practice. What's your first name? What's your first name? My first
my first
name's.
name's Ryoka.
What's your surname? What's your surname? My
My
surname's.
surname's Sugihara.
All right, please repeat. Actor,
Actor,
actress,
actress,
famous,
famous,
film star.
film star,
Now, please listen. Actor is a noun, and actor is a boy or man who acts in a play or film. For example, Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, etc. Then actress is a girl, like Angelina Jolie, Penelope Cruz. Then famous, that means known and recognized by many people. For example, I wouldn't like to be famous. Then, a few famous people in history are Shakespeare, Einstein, etc. Now, let's practice. Would you like to be famous? Would you like to be famous? Yes, no?
no,
I wouldn't
I
like
wouldn't
to be
like to be
famous.
famous.
What's a film star? What's a film star? A film
A
star
film
is a
star
famous
is
actor
a
or
famous actor
actress in the
or
cinema
actress
world.
in a cinema world.
Tell me the names of some famous film stars, please. Tell me the names of some famous film stars, please. Johnny Depp,
Johnny Depp,
Penelope Cruz, etc.
sorry,
Penelope Cruz.
Penelope Cruz,
etc.
etc.
Okay, she's an old actress. Maybe you don't know her. So, this is paragraph 340. So, I will just put in the note to tell the teachers that there should be a 22 paragraph difference next time. Okay? Thank you
Okay.
so much. Good night and take care. Ka. You did very good, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you for the
Bye
rest.
bye.